It's your boy Fred from What's Happening. I'm just seeing if you checked out Patreon yet. Ad-free podcasts, full video episodes, unedited content, exclusive merchandise discounts, early access to merchandise, vote, partake in community polls, and inspired content, access private chat, and minimum one bonus episode. What you waiting for? Tap in on Patreon.
Welcome to What's Happening. I'm Brad.
I'm Fred.
Shall we talk about what's happening? What's happening with you, bro?
Shit, bro. Just came off of back-to-back nights. Got 2 dubs.
Okay.
Powerful message. You know what I mean? But other than that, just chilling. Same old, same old.
Powerful message. What do you mean?
This second game, the coach of the team, she won state at her high school, her senior year. Her junior year, she made it to the Final Four. Her sophomore year, she made it to the Elite Eight. And her freshman year, she made it to Sweet 16. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Region champs, of course, for like 4 or 5 years, something like that. Because I believe she played in 8th grade too at the varsity level. So went off to play at UK. Ended up switching to WKU her senior year. And I mean, just the message she gave to the kids, you know, it was touching. Like, I've heard a lot of messages from ex-players and, you know, just different type of players of the game. I've heard them personally, and I've also, you know, seen messages just like on the internet or whatnot when you're watching stuff. And I mean, this one probably like resonated on many levels, just with things that I personally knew, or, you know what I'm saying, things that you've seen other people go through or knowing that they'll be going through, like especially when it comes to coaching. And I mean, it was crazy, like, you know, but one of the biggest things she said, make sure you keep God first, you know what I mean, through it all, and know who you are. So, you know, it was deep though, but I ain't gonna hold it up. What's good with you?
Man, I'm over here. I'm chilling. I had a long work day. It ended up being kind of busy, but it was cool. But you know what I'm saying? Got up early. Got that good cardio in today, so that felt good. Came home, kicked it with the little homie. You know, Royal Rumble. It's my nerd weekend. Um, yesterday. So we're recording on Saturday for the listeners. So Friday, GoldenEye finally dropped. So I was playing that. And then today's the Royal Rumble. Tomorrow was Championship Sunday, man. So I'm off tomorrow. So it's a cool little weekend on the personal side.
Was they
But
taxing on the Royal Rumble, or I mean on the 007, or
was they taxing? What do you mean?
like did it cost, or was it free?
Oh, it's with Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So hey, Microsoft, I need to check, bro. You gotta be out here promoting them.
I don't have you doing anything. You did that willingly.
You asked the question, I answered it. Fool. We in this together.
If you ain't bring it up, we wouldn't be talking about it. I did see it, but I ain't bring it up.
Yeah. Man, let's get into it. Y'all see the title of the show? Everybody know what's happening. It's been all over the social media, all over the news. Uh, Memphis, is where my family is, where my mom is, where my grandmother is. I got a ton of cousins down there. My aunties are down there, and that was where Tyre Nichols was murdered at the hands of the police officers. 5 of them. Did you get a chance to watch the video?
We
I purposefully waited to watch the video. I
really,
wasn't gonna watch it at all because I hate watching that stuff. But I felt like I just had to, especially with us talking about it.
when did you watch it?
When did I watch it?
Yeah, since you said you purposely waited.
Oh, I did say that. I'm sorry. Shortly before we recorded.
Okay.
Um, tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think and how you feel, and take the time you need to take to explain it.
Well, one, I think I'm more overly shocked that it was our own people.
Okay,
You know,
explain that.
well, in the black community, in the black culture, I get we're known not to fuck with the police. You know what I mean? And that's not everybody, you know what I mean? But for the vast majority, that's the MO, quote unquote, you know, um, that black people don't fuck with the police. We rather police ourselves, our own people, than to quote unquote snitch, you know, or what have you. But I feel like now, before I say this, don't get me wrong, like far as I know on a national incident, this is the first, you know what I'm saying, black on black crime dealing with the police. And I could be wrong, but on a national level, you know what I'm saying, since I've been alive, I don't know of too many or many. Most times we're talking about a white on black situation, you know what I mean? Um, but to say that is to say, you almost feel that when you see your people on the police force, I'm sure it's of one or two reasons, if not both. And it could be more, but this is just me speculating. One, first and foremost, we always got to feed a family. Job security is definitely going to be there. You know what I mean? And if you're a minority in the police force, it's definitely there. Now, I don't know the inner works of the police force, so I don't know how bad it could be on black people in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Working in the police force. But the second reason of joining the police force is because we know how our communities is policed. We know how we are treated generally when being pulled over or what have you. We should want to make a difference. And that would be the reason of joining, is that to try to help more black people, you know, not be mistreated in simple stops, you know, or what have you, or encounters with the police. Damn, it's crazy that we're talking about this, and I just looked over and my other screen is playing this actual body cam footage, like literally right now.
Wow.
Um, but you know, you want to try to change those encounters and you know make it to be more pleasant for our people. And you know, I'm not saying let our people break the law, but necessarily they're not getting tickets and whatnot to the same level of, you know, white people. You know what I'm saying? And I say it to say, like, in situations where most times an officer would just let a person go or not really, you know, saying make a big deal out of certain situations, they would do the same in return for their people. You know what I mean? Um, but I also say in the incident situation, from what I seen in the video, it started off in the wrong manner. When he got pulled over and the officer wanted him out of the car, and it may be just the way they cut in this video footage. I didn't get to see the full 67-minute video that there said there is with multiple angles, you know what I'm saying, from the different cams. I was just getting to see the edited and chopped versions that the different news outlets and whatever, you know, people have been able to get their hands on.
Right.
But they said that there's like a 67-minute video. The way he was pulled out of his car, unless somebody's been wanted for murder, you know, officer pulls up and, you know, the situation is just crazy. I've never seen anybody snatched up out their car in that manner for just a simple stop. Even if you feel like he was intoxicated, under influence, whatever. I ain't even seen a DUI stop. I ain't never seen the officer pull you out your car in that type of manner to do a sobriety test. Because, I mean, if he was getting out of his car or you needed him out of his car for whatever reason that you felt like he had to come up out the car, why did it start with you opening his door and snatching him with two hands and yanking him out the car? And then, okay, some want to say, well, he wasn't cooperating, he ran. But to start a situation off in that manner, in the times we live in today, I might have been a little scared too and ran. Was he wrong for running? Yeah. But once they got him and they caught up to him and tackled him and, you know, on the ground or what have you, and they're trying to, I guess, quote unquote, get him to comply. But in numerous of situations you see where people are not complying, they use force and they use different measures. At what point was somebody going to get on his back, put a knee in his back and grab his arms and pin him, put one cuff on one arm while trying to catch the other arm and force it back to catch it, to be able to stand him upright and get him in the vehicle, you know, to try to de-escalate the situation, talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
They done rolled this man over, pepper sprayed him umpteen times, you know what I mean? Got him back over on his chest, punched the crap out of him, grabbing his arm. I ain't even seen, they pulled out their tasers. Thank God they didn't shoot him. They pulled out the tasers, but they didn't tase him, far as I know. If they did, you know, for what? I mean, like, at what point was all the rest necessary? You don't have one cuff on this man, not elastic strap, anything to say we're trying to detain him. Essentially, y'all just held him down and had a free fall until he was no longer able to fight and be combative. And then got the nerve to go to his mama house and ask her, does she know, you know what I'm saying, his condition and where he's at, and basically let her know that, hey, we just fucked your son up. He in the hospital right now. But I think it hurts most to know it was our own people. But she gets to the hospital, and as she said on TV, they beat him to a pulp. his nose, she said it was in an S shape, but if you look at the picture, his nose so damaged, I don't know if he'd been able to breathe through it anyway.
Mm.
He hooked the tubes and monitoring systems. And then, in the same token, they was fired from their job because they said that this was disgusting. Wasn't part of any practice, which is contradicting because I don't know who it was, but somebody said they don't see, it might have been judge or whatever, but don't see anything that they did necessarily wrong in what they did. And I'm just like, how? When their
No,
job
I think
fired them.
I think you're talking about the guy, and I forget who it was. I only just saw it come across my screen, but he was saying that like it might not necessarily be second degree murder. I think that's what you're talking about.
Well, it's definitely gonna be second degree murder. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't premeditated, but they did it. But I know it was in that same video where you're talking about where he said he don't think it's second degree murder. But yeah, they
I
went
just
on
saw
to.
I just saw a tweet saying that. That's what I was thinking. You might be saying. You might be
Well,
talking about.
there was a video that contained that, explaining first degree and second degree and
Okay.
the different scenarios. So that it was in that same video, but I can't really speak to exactly what it was because I ain't gonna sit here and act like I'm just gonna try to consume myself with it because of how disgusting it is, you know. But nonetheless, they lost their job. However, what have you, they uh, assumed to be locked up because they all made bail. But my question is, how the hell you make bail in a situation like this? Because if this was 5 dudes on the street, they called themselves a gang and beat somebody like this, I bet you they wouldn't even have bail.
Right. So I've only watched a 5-minute video, and I didn't watch the full 5 minutes. And the part that I saw was not the part where he got pulled out of his car, but he was already out of the car and on the street. And in the clip that I saw from NBC News, the guy was saying that this is the second part of the video.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part of the video was already all of that stuff gone. First thing that stuck out to me was I don't know if it's the first thing that stuck out, but first thing I want to point out is, the Sky Cop, the cameras that they have. Now, me and you just talked about my mama and my family being in Memphis, and I've mentioned that plenty of times on this podcast. And I was just there for Thanksgiving to visit my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep it a buck. While I was down there, I ran a red light. Guess what I got in the mail a couple weeks ago? A ticket. The Sky Cop got me. Had my license plate in 4K. Michigan and the numbers, everything, right? And what's funny is that when I ran it, the way that Sky Cop works is that like I saw the light flash, so it took a picture of me, right? And so the idea and the view that I saw was from that Sky Cop cam, not the body camera. The idea that the cops felt so bold to have the body cameras on and to be on the camera and to do that is mind blowing that they could be that bold. Because the thing is always when we hear this stuff happening, usually there's no body camera, there's no evidence. Hopefully there's a witness with like the George Floyd type deal where there's somebody with a cell phone. You know what I'm saying? Standing off in the distance recording that. Like that's usually how we get to see this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? We don't usually see, or usually it's a cell phone video. It's the aftermath that we get to see. It was just
Mhm.
weird to knowing that they know that the system is there, and they still felt so bold to do that. You know, and then you mentioned that it being our people, it being black police officers that did this, and that's one of the solutions that people have been raising for years with the police brutality thing is that our communities should be policed by people that look like us. Eh,
And
I've
you know
never
what? Go ahead.
I've never been one that's like anti-police. I've always been a big believer in reform. Matter of fact, uh, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about Biden, and I mentioned that the one thing that that I feel like people should be holding Biden accountable for is the police reform. And like this action is going to be the catalyst that's going to really bring back life to the defund the police movement. But it's not going to be able to say, "Hey, we had the camera footage. It was black officers in a black community in a black city." And still, I didn't say that it's going to happen. I said it's going to refuel the conversation. I'm already
Say
seeing it.
so. I, I don't see how that's gonna be a heavy conversation because right now, and it's funny to say it like this. I know there's gonna be some white people that be like, "Hey, that's wrong. This shouldn't have happened." The majority gonna be like, "That's on them. That's they people in that situation in their area. They want us to mind our business."
This was a tweet that I found. Derica Purnell on Twitter says, all of the reforms failed at the same damn time. Black cops, body cameras, multiple cops on the scene, tasers instead of guns. So how is more reform the answer? Blacker cops? Even non-deadly weapons? 10 cops instead of 5? HD body cameras? Harder convictions? Just saying like all the stuff that's supposed to work even fail. And the idea is that, and not the idea, I should say, but that's going to be the conversation. Is you're going to see way more protests and way more calls for defunding the police.
Yeah. I mean, it can, but at the same time, I don't I don't see it sitting, what I'm saying, with the defund police because the thing is also it's a big understanding of when our people become police officers, there's a few good ones, but 9 times out of 10, the ones that is, shoot, is dang near just as with, what I'm saying, the crooked white cops as we talk about. They not, what I'm saying, like I said earlier, the idea behind black officers joining the force should be, or we think would be, those two things. But generally, they don't care just as much. You know what I mean? And they kind of fall in that scenario of they buy in to what it is that they're there for. It's almost somebody in the military that's like, you know what I'm saying? Uh, y'all don't know no thugs. Y'all don't know what, what I'm saying, really being at war is just because y'all running around here playing fake gangsters, shooting at each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, or a military person like, Nah, I don't believe in folks should be able to smoke weed because they bought into that system where there's things that is not tolerated whatsoever. And it's the same way in the police situation, you know what I'm saying? And when you get those type of people, you know what I'm saying, it don't matter what type of training, you know what I'm saying, defunding the police, the, you know what I'm saying, all the different reforms that you could think of, it doesn't change that they really not there for the greater purpose, you know what I'm saying? They're there for their own agenda per se, you know, and the the other side to it, you know, with the whole defund the police situation, I mean, how long you think that conversation is gonna last and really hold up?
Well, after the George Floyd thing, it really got cracking for about a good year. Um, really a good year and a half. It didn't really quiet down until the 2021 elections. You know, there's some states that have their state elections in that year. You, for example, y'all did it in Kentucky. I remember you did that when we did the "What's Happening Around You" episode, and Virginia's a big one. And Virginia has uh, a weird rule where we talked about it before. The governor cannot have consecutive terms, um, and so they had just elected like 2 consecutive Democratic governors, and then also uh, they had just elected Biden. The state of Virginia elected Biden in 2021, and I'm sorry, 2020, and then in 2021 it flipped, and they elected a Republican governor. And pretty much at that point, you know, they ran on Democrats trying to defund the police, and it was once they lost that election, that's when it pretty much stopped. So it's been about a year and a half since I've heard any conversation around the police, but it lasted for about a year and a half after everything had happened with George Floyd. I mean, there were even some states that put different things on the ballot to try to, like, you know, to literally um, end the police force and create some new things. So I can see it lasting for a while. And the big thing that why it didn't really go down is because the Democratic Party is just super disorganized. And I can tell you that, like, when I heard defund the police, I heard it as, or rather, I understood it as um, moving the funds that go to the police force into other areas that could better benefit those communities. But a lot of people didn't hear it that way. They just heard, let's just not have police anymore. That message wasn't organized. So
It's
I'm not,
still ain't.
well, it's not even happening right now. And that would be the thing. If it's going to be successful, it's going to be about organizing that message. Um, and whether or not that can happen, I mean, my answer is no, it can't happen.
No.
But I think the conversation will begin to happen again.
I mean, they can have the conversation all they want, but I mean, there's other factors that's going to fall into place as well because with those people being free and with the situation at hand, they've put their family in jeopardy. They've, you know what I'm saying, put themselves in jeopardy. And it's almost a matter of time because, see, being in the day and age of the internet,
Hmm.
you can't hide. You can't be anonymous. Somebody always finds out. People always get found every day. So it's almost like they start trial and they get locked up. or they might not make it. Either way, because they definitely ain't in the right city to do things like that and still be able to live to talk about it. Like, it would almost have to be a witness protection situation. And they would have to be moved because of the times we're in. And that, I don't think that necessarily still gonna help. Just in general, like, you look at it nowadays, people all day long say, hey, help me find this person. And it's in a matter of hours, days. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I've seen it longer than a week. Folks get found.
You
And
shared a post about trying to find something or share something today. What did I see? Harlem
I
Globetrotter
said
ticket.
tap in if you can make it happen. Basically, my friend had, you know what I'm saying, 20 Harlem Globetrotter tickets in a suite in Nashville with parking passes, you know what I'm saying, for anybody that wanted to take their
Yeah.
family of 20 people so it didn't go to waste.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it by the time you shared it. I saw it like as soon as you shared it. And it was, I remember seeing it, it said 4 minutes ago, Fred shared it. And that comment and the original post had already been edited to say, like, I ain't got no more tickets. So I was like, hey.
Like, you know what I mean? But
So, I mean, I'm
that's,
sure he didn't move the tickets in the 4 minutes. I'm sure that maybe he
no,
had
there was
one or
other
two
people
left.
that shared it, and
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
actually made a post the day before, but he made a second post because I thought the
Right,
day
right.
before, because there was somebody that said they was in Nashville, and he like hit my inbox. You know what I'm saying? Then I seen a post today that said, hey, I got 20 tickets plus parking passes in a suite. I don't want it to go to waste. So a couple people shared it. I shared it because he said it was at 7 o'clock today. I was going to a game, so I knew I couldn't. I would have, listen, if I ain't had no game today, my whole family would have went and seen
Get in the car.
it. What? Why not?
What's
You
the
know what I'm
Nashville?
saying?
What, 2
Like
hours, 3 hours from you?
2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We leave at 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? And we there in no time. You know what I mean? And it ain't 5 o'clock, but we could have left at noon or whatever and kicked it. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
For
right.
part of the day, 8, whatever. But
Exactly.
I
Hit
mean, I'm
cookout.
just, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like Jack in the Box, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, we're in a whole different age and era to where that I don't know, especially being in Memphis, I don't know if that's gonna go over well. Now, I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
I don't have the
I
confidence
don't
that it would
know.
ever actually happen, but I'm
With them
absolutely 100.
being killed or something.
Did I get lost? I thought you were talking about uh getting the defund the police movement happening.
Yeah, but I said we said that, but I said also that they didn't put themselves in jeopardy, you know what I'm saying, their families in jeopardy. Like, it's pretty much go to jail, or if you stick around, it might not end well. And even if you do get, you know, witness protection removed,
Oh,
do your family, you know what I'm saying, get to live there with no issues or consequences behind your actions in a city like Memphis?
yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Soon as you get to defund, trying to say defund the police, and whichever message you do get to be conveyed through it, if anything happens, it's going to defeat that whole purpose too. Because on the back end, you're going to say, well, this is why we need them.
Well, but that's where the organization piece comes into it. So, like the whole idea behind, from what I was looking at, so like there was this one, I think it was Seattle, maybe it was Portland. It was somewhere out west. It was somewhere in the PNW. Um, but I remember when they had it on there, the defunding the police. It was going to be uh, abolishing the entire idea of a police force, the police department, and establishing a Department of Public Safety. And it would still have a version of police officers, something that would be totally different, not totally different, but different from what we have. But then, like, there would be other alternatives, like mental health advisors and things of that nature. into it. It wouldn't just be like a bunch of people with guns that, quite frankly, may not have the emotional capacity to handle the stresses of that job. That's another thing somebody was talking about too, is that like I saw this somewhere. Someone was saying that like, a 12-week boot camp, so to speak, to be a police officer is probably not enough. Like there probably needs to be a 2-year it probably needs to be a 2-year college degree with some additional type of trainings and things of that nature. Not just the physical aspects of getting out there, but go ahead.
I mean, that's too easily combated, and it'll probably never happen to that nature.
When you say it's too easily combated, what do you mean?
Because when you can train, people that protect this nation in 6 weeks to, I think at the longest at one point, it may have been 3 months. How in the world do you flip that people to protect, the streets in the neighborhood to have to take way longer or more, training or have higher degree or standard than the people that protect this nation?
I would say that the answer would be that the training is different, because the people that are going to protect the nation are essentially going to fight a war against other people that know how to fight a war. Police officers are covering the streets, and they're dealing with way too much in the streets. Like the drunk wino is not a Russian soldier.
You can say that, but when you don't and I don't know how much you know about, being deployed and what these people go through and what they deal with, but you can say that when you don't have any inside knowledge to that. But when you are standing in the middle of a field being shot at and told you cannot fire back, and bullets is literally passing you and possibly hitting people next to you, and you have to stand still and be shot at, when you got, insurgent running at you strapped with a bomb, off of eating a rice cocaine ball with no care, and you want to compare them to a drunk wino? When you got dead bodies that is used as booby traps, and you thinking, oh, I'm gonna just grab this dog tag of one of the fellow dead soldiers that came before me, and it blow your whole platoon up because it was strapped with a landmine under it. How do you compare that and say it's not the same? But you telling me these people are being trained to fight this in 6 weeks to 3 months, and you want 2 years to a 4-year degree? There's no way you're gonna combat that. These same people, now you're telling that come home. Yeah, they're gonna come home and they're gonna have experience, but with no degree. These same people usually come into the same field to continue working, and now you're telling them they're unqualified after they protect your nation.
So then it's a solution that maybe our veterans need more too before they go out and have to deal with all of that.
You can say that, but
that's probably a different discussion.
No, it definitely is, but you can almost say there's nobody across the nation that's doing that. Especially when you got places, and don't quote me on the exact place, but if I'm not mistaken, either like China or Korea, but maybe even Germany, I don't know. But when you graduate high school, you have to do 2 years in the military before you can go work or do anything else. Like, you don't have a choice as a man. As soon as you graduate, you are enlisted and shipped off into the military for 2 years before you can pick whether you're going to stay in the military or you're going to come back home and work just a regular civilian job like we do today. And that's across the nation. Nobody's training that long. I seen a video also that came across my news feed of police officers in another country, because we're one of, I think, two that can own firearms. They got an angry dude with a knife and they hit him with pepper spray and a baton to, diffuse the situation. And they ain't overly abusing him or nothing. Dude running at him with it, they hitting him, back up, back up. All right. I said, stop. Back. Like, and they like just chilling, like ain't even stressed about the situation. This man was unarmed. And they beat him like he had a knife or something. But you mad? He took you on a run? Most of y'all trained to run over a mile because the average person can't run a mile, so they get tired. And so over the long haul, you catch them, in the endurance factor, because they can't stand up to, run a mile. That's why police officers got to be able to run a mile in a certain time and be able to keep that so that they stay in shape. So that way, if they ever get on a foot pursuit, a police officer is not trying to hawk you down. They're just trying to outlast you. Stay on your tail long enough to see you, so when you get tired, they come get you.
I'm lost on how we got there.
Basically, because you were saying that like maybe we needed like, I don't know, 2 or 4 years or something. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna be able to do that, with the officers, and then with the military being trained at this, level, and you want them to have more training. Then I said they come back down after they leave the military to this. And then after I said that, I went into the fact that other countries and their training, and how I seen, other countries and what they do with, people with knives and whatever. And I'm like, I brought it back to, his situation of, like, how would you beat him to that point, and he wasn't even armed with a knife or anything, all because he took you on a run because you assumed you was drunk or whatever. So
Okay.
that caught you up, but
so this is there's gonna be major calls for change. What those calls are specifically, I don't know. I think that we're gonna hear a lot more defund the police, abolish the police, all of that. The other thing that stood out to me was it was quick to I don't think there's a good way I can say this. When the black officers messed up, justice was swift. They got fired, got charged, everything. But it wasn't until like I'm remembering the George Floyd thing. It wasn't until, well, okay.
Yeah, I was about to say neither death is right, and I'm not gonna say that either death was worse than the other because they both ended in death. But you got a knee on the neck,
Well, what I was gonna say is that it wasn't until the protest, like multiple days of protesting and outrage, that well, number one, I can't forget Derek Chauvin, that he was placed on leave and then eventually indicted or arrested or whatever it was. But I'm also now remembering that we learned about George Floyd's murder the day after it happened. We saw that video, whereas with Tyre Nichols, this happened on January 7th. So I don't know that I can necessarily make the comparison that I wanted to make with Derek Chauvin. But in general, you see a paid leave, and then you see an investigation, and then some months go by, and then there's no charges almost always, and then something else happens and you forget about the last situation. When these black officers messed up, they were fired, not placed on paid leave, not placed on administrative leave, none of that. They were fired and indicted all before the video came out and was made public.
Well, I mean, the situations was a little different, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm not trying to change the fact that, either person death is, what I'm saying, not as significant as the other, but in the way, in the manner, what I'm saying, that they died, what I mean, it was different. Like, you can look at both videos.
Well, again, remember, I'm making a general comparison to white officers in general.
In white officer and black officer situations where a black person has died.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but you could look at it and say, if you have common sense, you can say, okay, they was dead ass wrong. They should be trained better to know better, you know what I'm saying, to do. But there is a situation in there that you can say, okay, I see how it got here. You know what I'm saying? That there to where when they get put on leave, it's because 9 times out of 10, that the police department or station or however you want to call it, they've already consulted with their attorneys, you know what I'm saying, and their higher ups. They're pretty sure when they go to trial on about where it's going to fare at. There's no way you're going to look at that video of the black on black situation and say, okay, you might have a chance to beat this case or what. No. You look at that and be like, oh yeah, y'all going to jail. Ain't no way around it. We can't save you. Ain't nothing we can do. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the task force like, hey, there's nothing a part of this that is trained behavior. When you look at Castile, he reached Officer Drew. But from the reach, and he did have a firearm, he stated he had one or whatever, but by the way you reach, officer had the right to Drew in that situation. Especially with me being a carry concealed weapon permit holder at once upon a time. I'm known that when I say, hey, I have a firearm, not only do I ask,
we didn't see video of Philando and the way he reached Philando Castile. We did not see video. We saw the video of the aftermath of when he got shot.
Listen, what I'm telling you, let me finish.
But you said the way he reached.
Listen, as a carry concealed holder, when you say you have a firearm and you need to get your wallet or whatever ID, you then wait to be instructed on how to. You don't say, hey, I'm a carry concealed holder, my ID in my back pocket, I'm gonna grab it and go reach for it. You don't have that right no more once you get that card, because you're taught and instructed on how you're supposed to do when you need to get your card. And that's why most instructors tell you, hey, if you have to, put it in your visor, in the slot of your top of your roof right there, somewhere accessible that's still visible for the officer. You are not allowed to take your seatbelt off until instructed on how to. You lose a lot of rights when you get those privileges. And you are taught how to act in those manners. For instance, when you get pulled over, your hands should be out the window until they even get up on the car. And your best bet is to stick your head out and say, excuse me, I want to let you know before you get to the back of my car that I am a concealed holder, and I have a weapon in this car. And keep your hands out the window until they get up on the car. And then do as instructed. You don't have the right to sit in the car and act like a normal civilian and then once talked to say what's going on. I've had my license. I know. The only reason I still don't have a license because I didn't like the fact that Kentucky wanted to tax me, and I was still, everything was legit in their reciprocal state as long as I have Ohio driver's license. So I didn't want to pay them their money, and now we're constitutional, so I don't have to pay them their money, and I can carry concealed all I want. But being a constitutional state, that's going to put people in a situation because they think they can just carry now concealed, but they haven't been taught on how to be and what to do when they're pulled over.
We're getting so far off topic.
I mean, we're not getting off topic, but what I'm telling you is, it's because you tried to, interject with what I was saying. I'm telling you, when you look at these situations, George Floyd, and only one who I probably would say out of any of it, like there's nothing where they should have got a leave of absence or what have you. Like there should have been no leeway where you could say, hey, there's a chance you could beat this case, and that was right here in Louisville with Breonna Taylor. But 9 times out of 10, when you look at these cases and situations, they're far different from this one. Like that there literally just looked like they just literally just jumped dog after a party.
See, but you're saying 9 times out of 10 it doesn't look like this, but I would say 9 times out of 10 we don't have video evidence like this. To have a sky cam and body cam evidence at the same time, I can't think of a situation where that's happened.
I mean, no, you don't got sky cam and body cam.
It's usually a cell phone video, and it's usually more often than not aftermath.
You can say more often than not aftermath, but it's not. That might be what they share after they clean the video up, I guess you can say. But 9 times out of 10, we're not getting just aftermath. And if we're getting just aftermath video, we got, conclusive facts that, prove, up to the aftermath that this is what was happening. Whether it's another person, eyewitness, what have you, is just as much as sky cam and body cam. And then the thing you got to think of too, just because you got body cam, I done watched many officers turn their shit off and back on. So you can't say that it was just aftermath, because here's the other part to it. Why is it all we got is him getting snatched out the vehicle then, if you want to say, and then next thing you know, we're back to on the ground, him getting, beaten. Like I found one video where they was chasing him for a little bit, but it was still in choppy segments of him getting pulled out the car, officer chasing, you know what I mean? The next thing you know, boom, they got him on the ground. It's 5 deep. Well, it was only one officer at first. How we get to 5 deep after this officer was chasing and calling for backup and he's already on the ground? So even though we got this, they say there's 67 minutes of video. I've literally looked and searched for the 67-minute video and haven't found it. And
Yeah,
anything
I've
else
only
you
seen
get has been
the
edited.
8-minute. Yeah, I've only
That's
seen
what
an
I'm
8-minute
saying.
video. I
But
mean,
they've made it clear that there is a 60-something minute video.
yeah, I don't know that that's what was actually released though. Because after they didn't beat the hell out of him for 67 minutes. There was a lot that happened in 67 minutes.
No, they didn't. I mean, there's a lot that happened, but what I'm saying is I'm getting to the point that you made that you said, well, all we have is aftermath. Well, if there's 67 minutes, why can't we see the full? Why do we have to have the redacted version?
No, what I said was that there's usually aftermath in these situations. Situations like Philando Castile. Like, we didn't see him being shot. We saw his girlfriend.
There was a video of him being shot, bro.
Not Philando Castile.
Isn't he? Who's the one that got shot in the car with his girlfriend? I think it was a kid in the back seat.
That's Philando Castile.
But I seen a video of him getting lit up in the front seat. No bullshit. Like straight up. The officer was sitting right here over the passenger side mirror. You know what I'm saying? They was on the right side, basically of the highway. Officer was basically at the nose of the hood as he's walking back up saying whatever he's saying. And I don't know if he asked him for his shit or whatnot. When he reached that, what, his girl leaning to the side, baby in the back, like, bro.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing the video of it. I just remember seeing the video of her cell phone footage when she went live on Facebook.
Nah, bro. There was a video, you know what I'm saying, of him getting lit up.
But my point is that more often than not, I wasn't saying this situation. I was saying more often than not, we don't get video evidence of everything from beginning to the end. Because more often than not, I mean, it's changing more so over the we just haven't had that many.
I was going to say, we're getting deeper and deeper with technology too. You know what I mean? So with these situations, we're getting more and more access. Like you were speaking earlier about traffic cam. I mean, we don't, even when we seen them coming in, the areas was far few in between. Now you get to certain cities and it's like shit, almost every other traffic light, they got a cam on it, you know what I mean? Or definitely major intersections for sure. Right. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't know as well, from talking, you know what I'm saying, with officers and government officials, and I mean, you do know it because I guess if you watch the morning news and it shows your commute to and from work showing the weather, it lets you know that there's lights and cameras on the highway in certain areas as you go through. That's recording situations. So depending on where you're at on the highway, a situation can be recorded and you never know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just as we get more and more, you know, into the years to come, we're going to have more and more footage of things like this because of cameras being placed in, you know, all around, door cams, whatnot. Like there's just more footage being caught every day.
And I think that just, you know, if we keep getting more and more footage like this, there's going to be more and more outrage and there's going to be more and more demand for change.
The only change we're going to get is if the military policing us. And I don't know if that's what we want either. I mean, when you look at it, who else is going to police after police? If we would, let's just say hypothetically we was to, you know, defund them or remove them or whatever, who, you know what I mean? because no matter
Yeah,
what, there's gonna be bad people in the bunch.
yeah, I don't think that. I think the answer is it's going to be something that's not in place now. Like obviously, like what you're visualizing is, what can we replace it with? And, your first thought was military. That's something that already exists. It's going to be, if it's going to be an effective replacement, it's going to be something new, whether it be a Department of Safety or whatever else. And it might vary city to city and state to state. And that might have
Definitely
to be the
will.
thing. It's probably not going to be the wholesale, like the United States no longer has police. It's going to be one city council, one city somewhere is going to vote and say, this is what we're doing in this town here. And if it's successful, it'll spread to other cities that think the same way. And then slowly but surely, we might look 40, 50 years down the road to where it's something new. But it's not going to be a thing like people are going to get mad tomorrow. And then on Monday, the police are going to say, we are no more. And then on Tuesday, it's a whole brand new thing. Like, it's not going to be that. It's going to be a long road, but it's going to be, I think the conversations are going to start up again right now. In fact, I know they are because I'm seeing it.
What you're seeing is a very, very small percentage of what it needs to be a relatively large conversation. That could just be an algorithm. Not saying that it ain't gonna be a conversation, but I'm just throwing that out there. But I also think we're going to eventually run into the problem of what we see now in a lot of situations is it's already hard to get police. The numbers isn't there to be able to police the population in the first place. So there's going to have to be something different or something coming, and it may be sooner than what you think because the numbers are lower and lower each year. So once you put that spin on it, and then not like they're paid something glorious as well.
You're saying that the demand will, that the demand will call for something to change more so than the people.
Yeah, that's what usually happens anyway. In most things, it's always the demand that changes that the demand changes the output. You know what I mean? That's just what always happens. You know what I mean? You start a business with one or two people out your garage, and the demand gets you a small store with 5 employees to, 10 stores across your city to, state to state, nationwide, global. You know what I mean? It's right. Business at the end of the day. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot sooner than we will ever see for people complaining and protesting and doing for the change. I just hope that once the demand calls for the change is able to not only adapt, but to accommodate the demand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Well, y'all know where to find us. Socials are in the show notes. Follow Fred, follow me, follow the show. Click on the Patreon inside of the link tree to support our show. Leave us a 5-star rating and a review if you feel like we've earned it on your podcast app. And we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.